Today is August 31st, 2025. It's about to be 11 on the dot. And I am sitting here with Will Trombone, aka William Thomas II. And he has just completed a task that was put forth for him a while ago. He's been working on an album, song per song, gathering artists at different junctures of this project. And so we want to talk to him about this and about this space that he got into in particular just yesterday and into today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, it was a monumental achievement yesterday to finally finish recording my portion of At Last. That's gonna be on my solo project. I still don't have a name for it, but it will be on the project.
Mm. So take people back a little bit, or let's get more information on what we're speaking on. So your father is Bubbha Thomas. If somebody has never heard of him, and you got 15 floors to go down, how would you explain your father to someone?
Um, Master educator, um, community activist, author, 5 Grammy nominations. The list goes on. Founder of the Summer Jazz Workshop, founder of August Jazz Month, founder of Jazz and Poetry. All of these programs, have helped cultivate the culture of jazz and music in the city of Houston
Mm.
and around the world.
And so this is your father. This is what you grew up around. I know there's a lot of conversations that people can go look up that your father actually, was in interviews and other things like this. But, just being in a home with him, what would you say was musically why jazz for him?
I think, my father was older when he passed away in 2020. He was 82, so he come from the era where, in the 40s and 50s, they listened to swing and jazz. It wasn't rap and hip hop back then. So that's the genre that they gravitated towards. And, his high school band director was Conrad Johnson. They made a movie about him when he later went to Kashmere High School. He taught my father at Booker T. Washington in Fourth Ward. And then he went to Kashmir and went on to greatness, taking them overseas to tour Europe and, recording all the albums with the high school band.
You start your own career in music. You get educated not only by being part of jazz ed and your father, but also going and studying music, going to be part of different bands in different colleges. Can you speak a little bit about yourself and, tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
that journey?
Well, I started at McGregor Elementary in Third Ward, where I'm now the band director. I went to high school, middle school at Missouri City Middle School in Missouri City. I lived in Ridgemont, which is a neighborhood by Willow Ridge High School since 1974. And once I left Willow Ridge, I went to several black colleges, but initially coming out, I wanted to go to the best marching band pro. My mama said, "What you want to do?" I hated school. And if it wasn't band, I really didn't like school. I wasn't exceptional in my grades at the time, but um, I did enough to get into college, and not just any college. Jackson State, they had academic. You had to score a certain amount on the SAT. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't easy to get in there. And I became a part of the marching band, and I did Motown 30th anniversary as a freshman. And just to be a, all of this will be in my book and in the documentaries and stuff. But um, I also attended Prairie View, and the thing about attending so many colleges, I got a different approach from each band director that, I could take the good things from most of the band directors and incorporate that into the way I teach. So, when I was at Jackson State, I eventually became a section leader. And then when I was at Prairie View, I founded the trombone section and I was the section leader. So, always been an innovator and pushing the culture in black college bands. And I also marched at Texas Southern on tuba.
Talk to me as well, because that's the academics, but talk about like your father, because we want to talk about. I want to talk to you about At Last in particular. So, as your father was getting older, you became like his primary, would you say caregiver?
Well,
Care
he moved in with me, and I wouldn't say caregiver because he could still do a lot of stuff for himself, but he ain't had to pay. He ain't had to pay for nothing. Or for about 8 years we stayed together,
mm,
and one day I had come back from France with the Bayou City Brass Band, and we were sitting here watching TV, and he was like, "Man, you need to record At Last." And I was thinking to myself how old that song was. I didn't know the significance of the song, and it was like a rite of passages for most artists, to record their song. So fast forward after he passed away, I was watching YouTube and I was just letting the channels flip and the song came on and it brought me back to that conversation. And I was like, man, I gotta record At Last. So, I reached out to a few people and then I ended up with an arrangement from Sam Jackson and Thomas Holton played trombone on there, James Williams, Gilbert Cedeno. I got Craig Green. Craig Green, it has been an instructor in the workshop for over 40 years. He's trained all of the top jazz drummers probably in the world from Houston, the ones from Houston. And it was an honor to have him on my project. He hadn't been recorded since he was recorded on the movie Thunder Soul with Conrad. He went to
mm.
Cashmere.
Why do you think that At Last stood out to your father? Have you thought about this, considered this?
Well, I don't know, but I do know we recorded an album in '97 called The Gristle that had a Grammy nomination, and I did 65% of that album. And a few, so I was looking at it the other day and I noticed it had a song on there called Mystery Lady. And then when I went back and started looking at Etta James catalog, she had Mystery Lady on some stuff, and it was some other coincidences, that I've started to notice that I didn't never get a chance to ask him. But I don't know. I don't know if he probably met her or whatever, because he was on the road at one time and in New York and all that. So he probably met her. I don't know.
Hmm. Um, when you listen to the song yourself, you said that you're kind of like you've heard it a lot. Is there, when you started to study it, knowing that you were gonna include it in this work that you're producing right now, is there anything that stood out to you about the song? Did you hear anything
Well, well,
differently?
well, everybody I've heard record the song, they do it the same way they do it. I heard Beyonce do it. I've Googled a bunch of people and they all do it with the strings first when it comes in. But when you listen to my arrangement, it's gonna be nothing but brass. And I eventually put drums and piano, but my first thought was a trombone choir of four and a trumpet choir of four. So I got that done, and then I started adding on piano. and drums to it.
I know a few months ago, because around the start of summer this year in 2025, you had you had booked sessions out for recording, and I remember you saying early, "I'm going to go do At Last," and then you ended up nixing that at the time. Why do you think that, you had to kind of go through some of the other work of the album before you could come back to that?
Well, some of the other stuff was easier. I didn't have to like learn the words or learn the pitches that the certain artist, certain parts of the album I'm just freestyling or I'm just playing a solo. So, I don't have to work as hard and study, that artist. So that's the only difference.
And so yesterday you were able to go to the studio. What studio did you go to?
I went to Wide Road Studio and I recorded with Andy Bradley. He's a longtime engineer. Um, he's the one that had every Grammy nomination I've had, he nominated me and my father. So I've been working with him since '96. Yeah, and my father worked with him way longer than that. So
Did you know yesterday you were gonna record At Last? That was,
oh yeah, I knew I was gonna record it. I thought I was gonna record some of the Gristle, but we got caught up on the At Last and trying to make it perfect. So
and I know you talked about making sure that you came to that and it was gonna be like a moment of completion for you because of the conversation. So it kind of went from something he mentioned to you just kind of in passing to it being sparked again, and then now you got to the end of it.
yeah, that's it's a moment of completion, but also the Gristle, he's playing drums on there, and I'm gonna play trombone on there. So that's even bigger than that. That'll probably be the second single off the album after At Last.
Mm. What was going through your mind while you were in the studio yesterday with That Last?
Hitting the right note.
Were you like, At Last?
Man, it was because a lot of that stuff is high on the trombone. So, I'm a mid-range player. In the Bayou City Brass Band, I played the lower part. I played third trombone for over 12 years before I stopped playing. And that's what my lip was used to, is not used to playing up high like that. So, I had to do a little work to get up there, but I got up there and handled it. So,
Mm. You finally did it. Do you feel like, have you felt even while you were there or after, did you feel like he was with you in some way recording yesterday?
I always know my dad is here because it's this bird that starts showing up at my house. And it's funny because the first time I saw the bird, I had came home from the studio, and the bird was just there, and it wouldn't leave. And then another time, I was getting ready to go to the studio. It might have been like 3 or 4 weeks after that. I saw the bird again, so I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. So
What kind of bird is this? Do you know?
it's like it looked like a stork or something like that. It's real stoic.
Okay. And we talked about like you've put your own spin on this, so you're not leading with strings. I hear you talk about like how you're pushing the instrument to mimic voice.
People are used to the saxophone. When you think jazz, you think saxophone, or you think maybe even trumpet to some degree as the out front instrument. But if people know the real history of the instruments, the one instrument that's closest to the human voice is the trombone. And with the slide, we can bend pitch the same way you can a human voice. So the recordings that you're gonna start hearing are gonna be more like the human voice without the words than any other instrument on the planet.
What do you think people will feel when they hear At Last in the album?
I hope they just appreciate the musicianship, the time, the effort, the nostalgia behind it, the just the whole production. It's accumulation of years of it's almost like getting a PhD. It's years of me practicing, years of being around great musicians, great teachers, and soaking up everything and presenting it to people so they can appreciate it.
Anything else you would say about it? Was it harder or easier than you expected to do emotionally?
Well, I mean, I'm not finished with the album, so
Hmm.
I can't say it's a big relief to complete this part, but I still got a few, I got about 40% of the record I gotta finish. Not recording. I say about 20% more recording, and then the other 20% is gonna be mixing and mastering. So, once I get to where I'm happy listening to the album from front to back, it may be a two CD. I might just drop one this year and promote, 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 and then when I feel like it, drop another one. I don't know, but
Mm,
I'm gonna have enough music to do that. So,
mm. Well, congratulations on this milestone. It really is to be able to say I did this. I really love when people can see something or think about something and then manifest. So obviously that's a gift that has been passed to you from your the your father, your grandparents, probably a whole lot more than, people even know the surface of.
oh yeah, Houston has a rich music culture, probably the richest on the planet. Everybody thinks New Orleans and St. Louis and Alabama, but Houston is the number one producer of musicians on the planet.
Hmm. Something in the bio water.
Man, it's yeah, it's something in the Bayou water. It's Conrad Johnson and Bubbha Thomas in that water. Summer Jazz Workshop.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for your time.
All right.